Good morning, everybody. This is Marty Reed.
Hey, good morning.
At the Department of Libraries. So I'm looking at the attendee list. I expect there'll be some people to join us, but I just first want to make sure that everybody can hear us. Tom McMurdo and I are here, and Tom's running the show, and so I think he's requesting that if you are having any problems, to just click on the little button that has the hand. So raise your hand and he'll see that. You can also post a message in the questions box or the chat box. So Chris is there.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us again.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all.
And Sharon, nice to see you. Your name there. Good morning.
Nice to see you as well. Right now, I think you guys have me set up as the presenter, but I thought we could do it like last time where you guys do it on your end. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, actually, you're not set up as the presenter. I'm still learning the webinar.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just
Okay,
run through
great.
the slides. We did okay yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, I think so too, and that'll be perfect.
And if you want to give a verbal cue, if I'm on the wrong slide, please feel free to.
So we expect somebody from the Department of Information and Innovation to join us, but our presenters from SovereignNet and E-Rate Elite are here, and I see some librarians' names here. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started with the expectation that some others will join us as we move forward. So I first want to thank you all for tuning in. I know you're all busy and taking time to do this. I appreciate that. What we're going to do today is update you on some things about the FiberConnect network. We've got some folks that will be talking with you. Sharon Combs-Farr from SovereignNet. I know some of you have questions about billing and payments. Chris Lenhart. And Chris, is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, sorry, I had muted myself. Get back to the button. Yes, that is how it did. Lenhart.
Okay, Chris is from E-Rate Elite Services. He's down near Baltimore, and we've hired E-Rate Elite Services. Again, we've contracted with them to help with our E-Rate applications and the E-Rate program. Some of you will remember Chris because we've used E-Rate Elite Services in the past. And then we think maybe Ray Dennis or possibly someone else from DII will be here. So we'll be covering lots of information. There'll be plenty of time for you to ask us questions along at the end. We're going to try to hold those questions until the end, but certainly if you have questions that pop up and you need some answers, we'll watch for your posted questions. And I think just get started. So we're going to record this webinar. We had our first webinar yesterday, so we'll post one of these, a link, and we'll send that out so that if you have staff members or trustees that are not able to attend this, they can tune in later. I think you probably all know that I'm going to be leaving my position as state librarian effective a week from today, next Friday. And Tom McMurdo, who's our collections and digital initiatives librarian, will be your contact here at the Department of Libraries for all things FiberConnect. So we will have the last slide of our slide deck this morning has all the contact information. So you'll be able to see that, and I think you all know Tom. So let's see. I see maybe one or two people that are new that haven't been around from the beginning during all this years of FiberConnect work. So you may have questions because this may be new to you. Glad to see that you're here with us today. So I think we're just going to move forward and go right to Sharon from SovereignNet. So Sharon, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Marty. Sorry, I may be coming across loud. People tell me my speakerphone can be very loud, so I apologize for that. So thanks again. As Marty said, I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales at SovereignNet Communications. And being in marketing, of course, I had to include a little bit of marketing information about us in the beginning of the slides. So I think they're going to go to those parts of the slides now.
Sharon, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
I always forget that I have this slide here. If the libraries could look at this, there are 2 pages of the listings of contacts information for libraries, so a contact name and email. If those of you that are on board today could look at this for your library, make sure we've got the correct information, and if not, send us an update. Thanks, Sharon. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no problem. So as I was saying, being in marketing, I had to include some marketing materials. So when we go on to the next slide, you'll see our, this is a refresh of our branding on SovereignNet, really to give everyone the view of how we have transformed from a small Vermont company to a really world-class data provider. So these colored things are light and, of course, fiber optics. It's using light to bring internet and other data features. So the next slide is very dense, and I'm not really going to cover it, but I know different libraries have different levels of understanding about SovereignNet as a company. So this slide is really just to give you some background about us and how we've grown over time from a homegrown Vermont company to really a world-class data and other service provider in the Northeast United States. We even have a very state-of-the-art data center that we have built and just opened in Williston, Vermont. So we're very proud of our investment in Vermont and the world-class services that we deliver to businesses and community anchors, especially in Vermont. And of course, one of the biggest projects of our development into a fiber provider is our partnership with Marty's team and the use of federal broadband funding to help create this FiberConnect network that's connecting over 40 Vermont libraries in with the Department of Libraries in Montpelier. So if we go to the next slide, we're really proud of our work with you. The point of this slide is just this is giving you a look back when we completed the network back a little over 2 years ago. We gave some great bullet points at that time about the partnership and about the importance of bringing high-tech, world-class services to rural Vermont libraries, and how libraries are the heartbeat of their communities, and how being able to give citizens in those towns, in addition to the users of the library, access to the internet is something that is really fundamentally important as we move forward as a society. So what is SovereignNet's role in that? Well, we're the service provider. So we're a company that sells services to all types of people, and we are the ones that connect each of you to this network. So we're the ones who put the infrastructure in the ground that's enabling the network that you have. So that's what we are. We're a service provider. We connect to all of you. We also connect to the Department of Libraries and provide the internet service that you guys use in addition to the connections you have to one another. And we also provide this other service that I know yesterday we talked about in detail because people were interested in it. We also provide a connection to a network that's called Internet 2, which is an academic network that not everyone is able to access, but the library's FiberConnect does also connect to Internet 2 through the network that we have together. In terms of managing your connections together and all the services that ride on top of the FiberConnect network, that is that's run by the state of Vermont and the Department of Information and Innovation and the Department of Libraries. So they're the ones that manage all of those services and all the benefits you get out of those connections. And I know they may be talking a little bit later. So we're just happy that we're the ones that are really enabling you to have this network. So that's our part. We're the service provider. So going on to the next slide. This is pretty interesting, and I know some people like graphs and some people kind of their eyes blur over, but what the purpose of this is, what's really amazing is there's more than 40 of you together, and the way that the state and the Department of Libraries have set up your network, you have all these libraries and their users, you know, using all these services, and all of those libraries together are using about 150 meg of internet service. So that's pretty amazing, because 150 meg, although that seems a lot, like at home I only have like 1.5 meg, but 150 meg for all of the users that you have and all the entities that you have, that's a very efficient use of internet resources, which is one of the things that enables this network to work well and be cost effective, because you guys are kind of pooling all your resources together and using one internet connection. So this graph is just a typical week. This is actually, I think it's last week, or maybe a couple weeks ago, just showing the ebb and flow in the course of a week, how much internet is used by your entire network. And you can see that the 150 meg that you purchase, you've used that quite frequently, and because we don't limit that for you, you can actually spike above that from time to time as you do throughout these peaks. During the weekday particularly, you guys actually peak a little bit over 150 meg. So this doesn't show anything about the traffic of data flowing back and forth between you guys, or if you're doing, you know, video conferencing with each other, or if you're doing other things on your network. We don't capture that. This is literally just the usage of the internet itself.
And Sharon, I'd point out here that on Sunday, you know, there's a little bit of activity. I don't know that any of your libraries are open on Sunday, but folks are sitting out in the parking lot using your Wi-Fi. So there is even a little
yeah.
activity when you're
or maybe Marty's a slave driver and she has some employee in Montpelier who has to work on Sunday. I'm just kidding. Or maybe Marty works on Sunday. But yeah, true, so that does show. But what's interesting, you know, Monday, it's funny because a lot of businesses see a lot of extra usage on Mondays because you have kind of like pent-up demand through the weekend. So I think it's interesting that your libraries are similar, that you tend to have more usage earlier in the week and then it goes a little bit later in the week. But there's a lot of stuff going on Saturdays, so clearly your patrons of your libraries are heavy users on Saturday. The next slide, and I think this is not from Sovereignnet. This is something I got from Marty. So DII from the state, they actually track all of your usage of data across your network. And so this is just a snapshot in time. I know Marty's going to talk about a similar data a little later. So what I just wanted to show you the difference between your usage of the internet and then your usage of data. So this is just a point in time on monthly downloads and uploads, ranking the libraries by the higher users down to the lower users. Just at this point in time, you can see that you guys have different levels of usage at your libraries. And this particular month, the Rutland Library was using the most data, and that's over a terabyte of downloading, which is a lot. And then all the way down to Wyndham on the bottom had lighter usage this particular month. I know this does change from month to month, but I just thought it was interesting to see how you guys have different usage levels, although there's a lot of you in the, like, you know, 75 through like 140 gigabit or gigabyte range. It looks like it's kind of common. So just going to the next slide. I have a couple different views of each of your libraries with your relationship with Sovereignnet. So the purpose here is to go through the contract. And so this view, this shows your Sovereignnet account number. It shows all the libraries ranked just alphabetically by name of the library, and then it's showing the contract end date that you have. Most of them, as you can see, are in 2018. When we go to the next version of the slide, here it's ranked by contract end dates. And I was totally remiss. I did put this slide together months ago, and I forgot that we had a library that actually I have to work with them about. There's one contract that's up, that's going to be up in really this E-rate cycle.
And Sharon, Phyllis Skidmore, who's the director of the Canfield Library, is on the call today.
Oh, so thank you. I'm so glad you're on there. And Judy Eshelman from my team is here with me in Bellows Falls, and she has on her list of to-dos to reach out to, because we just want to get a feel from you about how you feel about your service and whether this is something you plan on continuing. And we're excited to serve all the libraries, and our hope is that most of you want to continue enjoying the service. So we do have a priority, of course, to reach out to the Martha Canfield Library. And then you can also see that, too, Putney and Dorset, their current contract end date will be like kind of right at the end of this E-rate cycle, so we might want to talk about that as well. But and then in terms of what does E-rate mean, I know we have Chris from E-rate Elite on the phone, and he can talk about that. But this is just giving you the thing that is kind of a bummer about this is that when we were building out to all of these rural towns, and we had to have that commitment of 5 years with the original contracts, we started each contract with each library when their service turned up, and that's why this is kind of confusing from a network standpoint, because with the exception of a whole bunch of people around November 30th in 2018, we have a bunch of different dates for end dates. So one of the things we may talk about later when Chris talks is that SovereignNet's definitely very flexible in terms of what works for the team, and it sounds like from Marty's team standpoint, getting everyone on the same end date with the contracts, whether it's if we do it 1 year at a time or 2 years, however it is it's going to work for you guys, we're definitely open to making all of these contracts end on like a June 30th, during the year, so that it can match up better with E-rate, and that your network is all on the same kind of contract end date, so that you don't have all this like, oh my gosh, when's my contract up and when's this up and so on. So this is just the reality of those end dates. So then the next slide, we're going to spend some time here with me talking about it, and then we're also going to transition to the other speakers, and then they're going to hold questions, I think, to the end. So I know one of the main reasons why we wanted to come back together as a team is that there have been a lot of questions this season about the E-rate, because the consortium E-rate process was a little interesting, to say the least, for this E-rate year, so that has caused some delays with different things. And so we wanted to pull everyone together to make sure we're all on the same page about how we're handling E-rate this year and next year. So the first thing I want to say is that SovereignNet really has to be hands-off on your E-rate, because we're the service provider. So if you have questions about the E-rate process or the applications and all of those things, then those are questions you want to have for Marty's team and for the E-rate consultant. But regarding your billing and your services with SovereignNet, of course, you talk to us. So our relationship is really as the provider of the service to you guys, and we can't get involved in your E-rate applications because we're trying to sell you stuff, I mean, to be frank. So, we obviously have a vested interest in you buying stuff from us, so we don't want to get in the way of the federal requirements for getting your federal credits. So the FiberConnect Library Consortium, or the Department of Libraries, has retained a consultant who's going to be talking, I think, right after me. That's Chris from E-rate Elite Services. They are helping with your forms for both 2016 and 2017, and they're going to talk about that. And it's true that you may have other services. You may get E-rate on like your voice services, or you may have another like internet connection. So you may have your own applications for different services on E-rate, and so certainly continue to do what you're doing with that. But Marty's team and E-rate Elite are helping you to get your federal subsidies on the network connection that we're talking about today, your FiberConnect network. Let's see, what else do we want to say? Yeah, so this part, I think, this is kind of an important piece. So in terms of the service that we provide, the network connection for each of you, that the special rate that was negotiated when we first did this project is $200 per connection, and that's so the full value of that service and how it comes out on your bill before all the credits kind of come in. It's for each of you, it's the same. It's $200, and then each of you have a different credit that you get back. So that's why you see, if we don't have your E-rate credits yet, each of you are seeing these bills of $200 a month. And for the libraries who've had budgeting concerns with that, we've been working with each library separately to work through different things, like showing reduced rates until we can get the E-rate funding, and all of that is handled sort of case by case. And those of you who've been working on that, you've probably either worked with Judy on my team who's here, or Allie Mann from our accounting department. So, so just to kind of give that explanation, it's not that SovereignNet's not billing the correct amount. We're billing the amount for the service, and then usually the E-rate credits kick in earlier than they have this year. So that's created some confusion that obviously everyone's trying to address. And I think that's it, because I think we, initially we weren't sure where the applications were coming in, but it sounds like the applications have proceeded. So I think some of these other bullet points may not even apply at this point. So I think we'll turn it over here to Chris. Unless, Marty, did you think I missed something about the E-rate from SovereignNet's perspective?
Well, I just want to thank SovereignNet for being such a great partner on this. And I know that this has been a really tough year in terms of that monthly billing and getting the discount credits. And I want to point out that that's not anything to do with SovereignNet. Part of the delay this year was because the FCC changed the E-rate program, and when Jeremiah Kellogg was handling this program before he left us and left Vermont, there were lots of delays on the end of the federal government in getting these credits, and Chris can speak to this as well. But as my understanding is that the last thing that they processed through the E-rate program were consortial applications, which is what ours is. So that was part of the delay, and then the second part of the delay was contracting with E-rate Elite. So that was our difficulty here. So I want to apologize for that, and I want to thank SovereignNet for working with you so that your cash flow is working, and just know that those credits are going to come through. And if you've got questions, as Sharon said, contact SovereignNet. I also want to thank SovereignNet because moving forward, when you're looking at your contract renewals or expiration dates, SovereignNet has let us know that going forward they're going to keep that same $200 a month rate, which is really fabulous for high-speed, high-capacity broadband. So Judy and Sharon, my hat is off to you. Thanks. It's been a real pleasure working with you over these many now years.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I know you beat yourself up a little bit about the E-rate process, but I know I mentioned this on the call yesterday too, that SovereignNet has a subsidiary in New York State called ION, and ION won a bid to be a service provider for our 42 library system in Northwest New York State, and they hit all of their deadlines, they did all of their stuff, that consortium, and the E-rate funding just came through this week, and the official announcement's coming through next week. So the point of telling you that is that there were, as Marty said, really big delays with these consortium things through the process, and even though just that even if everything, all the I's have been dotted and T's crossed, the fact is that a lot of these consortium approvals are just coming through now. So it's unfortunate, but that's what happened this time.
Okay, I'm going to sleep much better tonight. Thanks, Sharon. Okay, Chris, you can continue this conversation about E-rate.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, so I'm going to kind of add on to what Marty was saying about the difficulties in the E-rate process for this year. I mean, yeah, one of the things that happened that has caused somewhat caused the delay for consortium and consortium and library applications was the fact that, I mean, this is something USAC didn't realize when they rolled out the new EPIC system. Was that because libraries especially, and consortiums as well, they rely on the individual members. So for a consortium application, they rely on the members of the consortium to update their entity information in this EPIC portal. So that's for the schools, it's their student and their total student enrollment numbers, as well as this number of students that are eligible for the National School Lunch Program. For libraries, you all don't enter that information into EPIC at all because you are tied to the school district in which your library is located. So what that means is then your information as far as your discount doesn't get updated in the EPIC system until that school district goes in and updates their information. The problem this created for USAC was because the way that they designed the 471, which is the actual application for the funding, that's where we tell USAC, we've selected this service provider to provide this service, this is how much it's going to cost, here's our contract information. You can't even get into the application to enter that information until your discount information has been completed. So again, that's problematic for libraries because if your school district waits until the last day of the filing window to do their application, that means you can't do, that library, you can't do anything either until they've done their part. What that meant for USAC is they had to open a second filing window just for consortiums and libraries. And that opened after the original window closed at the end of May. So that started around June 1st and went through June 27th. So by that time, a lot of the school district's individual school applications had already been in the review process for 2 months before they even started looking primarily at the consortium or library applications. And what I can say is, I mean, another thing, the new EPIC system has just created a lot of delays just in general with applications. And at this point in the funding year where USAC should be just about wrapped up with all but kind of the most troublesome applications for funding year 2016, there are still a significant number of applications that are in the review process. And again, that's one of the reasons why this for funding year 2017, to be the application cycle we're getting ready to begin, this is the latest start date ever in the history of the E-rate program for the 471 filing window. It's going to open on February 27th, and it's going to close on May 11th. So, I mean, as of right now, it's like I said, one of the reasons they're doing that is because USAC is trying to get as many of the applications that they still have in the review process completed before that date, so before February 27th. The good news for the FiberConnect consortium is that the funding commitment was released by USAC on January 27th. So that funding is now committed. We have filed the Form 486, which that's what allows SovereignNet to begin invoicing USAC for the E-rate portion of the WAN costs, and also then allows them to start providing the credits on the individual libraries' bills. And I know I will follow up with SovereignNet because one of the things I know that SovereignNet will need is the account numbers associated with those accounts for the WAN services. So I'll brainstorm with the folks over at SovereignNet on how to get that information to them, and then we'll go from there.
Chris, thanks. We could open it up for questions now, because I think many of the questions are going to be related to SovereignNet and the E-rate program. So Tom's checking.
I think what I'm going to do, because there's not that many people here, is we're going to try unmuting everyone. And so if you have a question, if you could say who you are and then ask your question. Let's see if that works. No, I have to individually do it.
Okay, so you can either type in your question or you can speak. We've unmuted everybody now.
Hey, well, people think of their questions. Judy and I wanted to repeat. There was a great question in yesterday's webinar, and this I think might be on top of mind for a lot of people. Well, there's two. Chris, can you address the timing of when you expect the applications to be approved and when we would, did you say exactly that it would, what did you say regarding when the credits would start coming through? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Well, no, so the 2016 application has been committed.
Right.
So, and I don't know what this is what I'm not sure of is how SovereignNet gets notified.
Oh, I see.
And that's not something I mean. My assumption is that SovereignNet should be able to see that the funding has been committed. And as I said, we filed the 486.
Right. Okay. And
February 2nd.
And when you say committed, when you say the funding is committed, what you're saying is, just to be totally clear, is that for all of the libraries as part of the system, their federal subsidy rate towards the $200 a month has already been approved, and that USAC will be making those payments sometime in the very near future once we fill out the rest of the paperwork on our end, right?
Yes, essentially, yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So, yeah, USAC has made funding commitment. So at this point, it's, like I said, we filed the 486. That's the trigger that that notifies USAC that the services are actually being received, and that's what allows USAC to accept invoices. So at this point, so like the next step in the process would be SovereignNet submitting the SPI form, the Form 472, or I'm sorry, 474s to USAC and providing the credits on the library's bills.
Okay, and I think Judy has that update. Okay.
So I did talk, and I think this question will come up. I spoke to our finance department, and I should say that Allie and Krista have been working very hard on this. They've been working with the libraries. They've been trying to make things work for the various cash flow problems that have come up. What they will do, and I hear from them that they expect to get confirmation next week sometime, at which time they will start to provide credits to the libraries based on the percentages that come through. And the one thing they wanted me to make clear is that beginning with the June invoice, which is the final invoice of this E-rate year, if any of the libraries have credit balances that that won't be fully taken care of by June 30th, please feel free to call SovereignNet, and we'll work with you. You have the option of carrying the credit forward to the next fiscal year, or you have the option of getting a refund. So if you'll just take a look at your June invoice and call in if there's a question, they'll work with you and make that happen.
Right, so June and then July would be, so June would be the last month of the survey. Oh, because it's prepaid. Yeah, or we are in arrears. Okay, got it. Okay, so I think that was a question that came up yesterday, and I think the way it was phrased yesterday was, oh, do you mail us a check once you get the thing? And so what we do is we wait to the whole end of the cycle, and then if there are credit balances, then certainly we would issue checks or whatever.
Well, but call
just contact.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't see any questions right now, so I'm going to go ahead. I did have a question yesterday from the library wanting to know about the commitment for the Department of Libraries ongoing to support the wide area network. So just to review what the Department of Libraries does now for this network, we have the core equipment, the routers and the switches and whatever else is needed at the central location in here in Montpelier. We purchase that equipment, we maintain that equipment, and we have an agreement with the Department of Information and Innovation to manage the network. That's in our current fiscal year budget. We get a monthly bill for SOVNet. We pay that. It's in our fiscal 18 budget request, and Tom and I went to both House and Senate appropriations this month, talked about that, and at both of those meetings, my testimony included the importance of broadband for libraries, and there seemed to be agreement among the appropriations legislators that this is important service. So I fully expect that our funding commitment will continue through the next fiscal year. Obviously, I'm not going to be here to lead that effort, but Tom's committed, and so within the bounds of what we can expect. You know, we never know what's going to happen to budgets, but if ongoing, we're committed to this. I think it's really important. I'd love to see this network expand, but these broadband opportunities like the one that we got with the FiberConnect federal grant don't come across very often. So if you're wondering about that or worried about that, that's the commitment I can give you today. I'm going to move to the next slide that really duplicates what you had seen from Sharon about that October monthly report. So when you get you should get these reports every month. They should come right into your email box. They come from Solar Winds, so that Solar Winds I think appears in your subject line. So this really just duplicates what we saw earlier for this October month that shows, and it really does change from month to month. You know, Rutland's not always at the top. I think it's interesting when you look down here. McClure Library, that's a library in Pittsford, had higher traffic than Brooks in Brattleboro during October. So those of you that are in small libraries know that just because you're a small community or a small library doesn't mean that your broadband doesn't have high usage. It's really great to see that. Wyndham, you may not know this, Wyndham that was at the last of the list, their library is only open 2 hours a week. So it's not surprising that they have such a small, but they also made the leap, and they've got fiber broadband there in Wyndham. This is the October report. The last report that you should have received from SolarWinds was January. There was no report in December, so if you're looking for that December report, it didn't come through, and I've checked with DII, and they're not going to be able to get that report. So you're going to be missing the statistics for December. Let's see. Okay, going forward. I want to talk a little bit about your equipment. You may not remember this, and some of you weren't even around. When we brought your libraries online with SOVNet, with this fiber connection, we required that every library sign an agreement. Between your library and the Department of Libraries. We're going to go ahead and mute everybody. So we purchased, if you remember, we purchased the equipment in your library. So we purchased a router, we purchased a switch. Kevin Nadzim, who worked at that time with the state, came out to each of your libraries. He helped design the network for your libraries, install that equipment. Kevin's moved on to another job, but the equipment is still important as part of the wide area network. We purchased really high quality equipment because that's what was required by the state. So the wide area network, all of your information on that network comes into the state, DII, at the central location where the core equipment is. And their requirement to us for having public libraries as part of this wide area network was that libraries had to maintain that router with an annual maintenance contract and paying for that maintenance. The maintenance contract for the for your routers is called SmartNet, and we purchased that annual maintenance agreement through a company called Presidio. So DII reminded me about this, and we checked to see which libraries had kept up the maintenance and which had not. And you'll be glad to know that all of you are in the same boat. None of you actually maintained the maintenance. And I think part of the reason is that you didn't know about this and didn't get any kind of message. So the Department of Libraries has gone ahead. We're paying the SmartNet maintenance costs for this calendar year. Actually, it'll go through part of February. So we're paying that for your routers with Presidio. And I've contacted Presidio to ask to get pricing information of what it would cost you if you were doing this individually, and to get some projected costs for 2018 so that you can kind of think ahead to what you would be paying for this maintenance agreement. I mean, this is really required by the state for us. Your switches also, you could also be paying SmartNet costs for your switches. That's not a bad idea, but we're not requiring that, and we're not paying for that. So if you've got questions about that kind of thing, you can contact me in the next week, or you can contact Tom after that. I don't have anybody here from DII, from the Department of Information and Innovation today, but I want to talk a little bit about their services. First of all, of course, they maintain the network. We no longer have Kevin, who is just great, and some of you work directly with him, but the engineering staff over at DII are available. They know about you. Ray Danis, whose contact information we have on this screen, is new at DII. Actually, we don't give you his contact information. That would be through Tom. So he's new to this program, and he's just trying to learn as well. But the most important thing that you need to know about DII is that they're offering you help desk service. And there's a toll-free number that you can call if you have any questions or concerns related to the wide area network. So that's related to that router and that switch and your connections to this FiberConnect network. They can't answer other kinds of tech questions. So if you call and you're asking about something other than the FiberConnect wide area network, they're going to refer you to your local IT person. DII has extended this to these 42 libraries, which is a great service to us. To my knowledge, they don't provide help desk service to anybody else in the state of Vermont unless you're a state employee. It's this help desk that we all use when we have trouble with our local network here. So consider yourself lucky to have that availability, but just know that what they can offer you is limited to the wide area network, and they're really happy to do that. They're happy to call. You should each have a designated person. They have that name and contact information on file at DII, so if your contact person changes, you need to let them know. Because they're probably not going to accept questions from other staffers or other people in your libraries that you may not have let them know. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about, and I know we talked about this when we had some in-person meetings, it seems like that might be as much as 2 years ago, about leveraging the wide area network to really take advantage of the fiber that you've got coming into your library. Now, 150 megs is just great. So you've got high speed, and you saw from the graph that Sharon shows that the 150 megs is adequate now. DII monitors that bandwidth. Should the 150 megs not be sufficient for the network, they would contact us and suggest that we purchase more bandwidth from SovereignNet. But for now, SovereignNet and DII think that this is working well. Certainly some of you have experienced slowdowns and that kind of thing, but that's not really for the overall 150 meg capacity you have now. We upgraded that, I don't know, a year or so ago, and we can do it again, but of course it costs us more money, so we watch that pretty carefully. But how else can we use this network that you've got? Not just the high-speed capacity you have for your local users, but the fact that we've got this network that connects all of you through the central core. One of the things that we've done for some of your libraries is provide video conferencing equipment and capability. We've been able to expand that a little bit this year. We had some remaining money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They gave us a grant to support the FiberConnect initial connections, so we're using the remainder of that money to add video conferencing. We talked a little bit in the webinar yesterday about the Internet 2 connections. Internet 2 is the educational and research network, internet network. It's a separate network from the, and this is where my ability to talk about this is limited, but it's a separate internet from the regular internet. It's really designed for research, heavily used by academic libraries. Our connection here in Vermont it goes from UVM, I think, to Albany, but maybe, and also to Boston. Sharon said that yesterday. UVM has heavy use of the Internet too, and Patrick Clemens at UVM is a person that we've worked with, and Sheila Kearns was working really closely with him to look at what kind of content is delivered through Internet 2. And a lot of it has no interest to public libraries because it's research and it's academic and high tech. But we were really watching to see if there was content or programming opportunities from Internet 2 that we could bring into your libraries through the network, and you could opt in or opt out. We're going to be posting Sheila's job and recruiting for a replacement. Once that person's in place, they'll work again with UVM and Patrick Clemens, and we'll continue to explore that idea. Those of you in the video conferencing network, we'll have a separate webinar next week, and I sent out a notice yesterday about that. Next Thursday, we'll be getting together with you to talk about that network. But if you have ideas, how could we leverage this wide area network? We'd certainly be interested in hearing about that, because there are opportunities here, or there may be opportunities to expand what you're able to offer to your patrons. Let's see if I've got anything else here. We will be sending out the slide deck, so all of these slides will come out to you. We'll also give you a link to the recording of the webinar so that you can extend that to others in your library. I think that completes my portion. Tom, do you have anything to add to this?
No, I think we've covered everything quite well. There may be some audience questions. If any of you would like to ask a question, we were getting some surface noise earlier, so I'm not going to unmute everyone. But if you could click your little hand there and raise your hand if you have a question, I'll be happy to unmute you. Okay, we'll give it a minute to see if everybody's caught up. Looks like we don't have any questions yet. So again, if you think of anything after the fact, you've got our contact information right here. And as Marty said, we'll be sending out the complete slide deck and a link to this broadcast. So you'll have those at your fingertips.
And Sharon,
Well, I just wanted to add one thing, and that is that I wish there was a virtual applause button so that we could all give Marty a round of applause. It's been absolutely wonderful working with you, Marty, and you've done a fantastic job with this collaboration. So thank you. This is Judy from SovereignNet.
Thank you, Judy. And I'm sorry that I can't make another round to all of the libraries and thank all of you who took this huge leap of faith way back when to take on this project. I think your communities are the better for it. And Sharon, I just want to let you know that there was a note that came in from Phyllis in Arlington at the Martha Canfield Fisher that she's interested in continuing, so you guys can touch base.
Oh, great. Yay. And I guess we should talk to Chris about whether that's something that would be handled in the 2017 filing that he's doing. But we'll follow up after. Thank you so much.
It looks like Carolyn Brennan has a question here. Carolyn, I've unmuted you, but you've muted yourself.
I unmuted myself.
Oh,
great.
good.
So I can just read your question and then you can be available to talk. Carolyn asks, will DII continue to offer network support as long as FiberConnect is funded as part of VT Live's budget? And the answer to that is yes.
Well, again, I would say yes as far as I know. The new governor, Scott, has issued an executive order. They're going to be doing a kind of a reorganization of the Department of Information and Innovation. They're going to give it a new name. The current acting head of DII is in that very unenviable position of not knowing whether he's going to be appointed yet, and we won't know until April who's going to be heading DII. Again, we pay DII to do this service, so it's not their budget, it's our budget. So I don't see any reason why they would not continue to do this. We're committed to replacing the equipment if it should fail that they house. So Carolyn, as far as I know and as far as I can pledge, I would say yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I think that probably wraps it up. Oh wait, we've got another question coming in. Oh, thanks. You're welcome. So I think that probably wraps it up if we don't have any more questions. Those of you who do have the video conferencing equipment, keep an eye out for that invitation for next week. And as we've said, you've got our contact information, so if you think of something after the fact, please feel free to contact me. Thanks, everyone.
Just have one other note. I see that Rebecca Cook from Poultney's on the line, and I just want to tell you all that I was in Poultney. Was that just last week, Rebecca? For the dedication of their new edition of their library. So if you're traveling to Poultney, stop in because they have a lovely new edition. Congratulations, Rebecca. Okay, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.